Hey guys, how is everyone? How is everyone? Let me just see. Yeah, so we are continuing with the Halloween theme. I've tried several times to make this stream and failed, but yesterday night, or maybe it is yesterday morning for you, we managed to do a 45 minutes stream, and we did this here. I created the pumpkin and also created a pumpkin material shader, which you can check out from this website post. I've updated the post to include the part 1 of the stream where we created the Halloween, the pumpkin and the pumpkin material. Now you can see the cutout we used here, and maybe I'll do a quick show you how to do that easily. But anyway, so yeah, this is it here at the post here. Let me just link it in the chat. You can see I'm also going to use this skull here that I've just downloaded from free3d.com, and I'm also leaving the link in that post there as well. Let me just make a few changes here. I'll be making the posts like this. I'll try to explain what we have done in the stream a bit more, even add some screenshots like this, just for you to check out. Let me just make sure that edit this link to open in a different tab. Yeah, so the materials, screenshots, and other things are going to be on the post that I've just shared with you there. So let's go back in here and see how to continue with this. Again, this is a continuation of our night stream. Maybe it was in the morning for you, but yeah, we are continuing with this. So we had already, as I said, created the shader, and maybe let me take you through it for anyone. Procedure shader for the pumpkin. Let me go through it one more time for anyone who wasn't here. So what basically we're using is a noise texture. Let me first go with this, the stretched noise. Yeah, we're creating this stretched noise. Why did you end streams at 15 minutes last time? Yeah, I was having some issues with my internet. That's why I ended it, and I'm still having a few issues, but hopefully they are not as bad as they were yesterday. So, but yesterday we managed to do a 45 minutes live stream, and this is what we created. This is just a continuation of that, and I'm trying to do a quick breakdown of what we did yesterday for anyone who wasn't here. So yeah, we created this procedural shader, and maybe let me just do it from scratch for anyone who wasn't here. Just quickly, it doesn't take a lot of time, and it depends on the UV maps. So I'm from East Africa, that's in Uganda. So yeah, away from Zohide Khan, have I asked? Yeah, so let's recreate the same shader here. Hello Zigzag, glad to see you again. It's been a while. Maybe not that while, because I think it was 3 or 4 days since my last stream. Okay, so let's recreate this shader for anyone who wasn't here. So to start off, are you downloading the skeleton or making it? I'm downloading it, and you can check out the post I've shared in the chat if you want to see where I'm getting it. I'm getting it from free3d models.com, and this is the model we're going to be using, because it will take a lot of time to make this from scratch, and there is a free model that you can get. Again, the links are all going to be provided. You can go to that link I've just shared. So yeah, let's recreate the procedure texture here for anyone who wasn't around. So the first thing we want to do is make sure that you have a UV map, and we have this pumpkin here. And what I did, let me first turn off the subdivisions, is just have a UV. Actually, we don't necessarily need to UV unwrap this, because since it's a sphere, it already comes with a stretched up UVs like this, and we can use that. So if you want to create the same shader that I created here, all you need to do is start with a noise texture, noise texture, I'm just going to preview it using the Node Wrangler add-on, and I want to stretch this along the vertical, or along, the vertical. So I can add texture coordinate mapping, Control T to do that, and make sure that you're using UV maps. Let me turn on my shortcuts here so that you can see them. So if you look closely, there is some bit of noise, but it's not very, very easy to see. So I'm going to scale this down, and you can see how this looks. I'm also going to add a convert color ramp so that we can introduce some contrast within our noise so that it's much visible, especially through the YouTube compression. So I'm also going to do this. You can see now the noise is stretched horizontally, which is not what we want. We want it to be stretched vertically, so I can go to the Y value and stretch it. You can see now we're getting some stretches like that. Our noise scale is a bit low, so I'm going to bump it up like that. Hello, Beaver Summer. Hey, good to see you again. How are you doing? I'm great. How are you? Hello, Santhosh Kumar. How are you? How are you, Shri? Okay, so we can bring up the noise up again, bring up the detail, bring up the roughness, and maybe just reduce on the contrast. So we have something like that. Maybe let's see, you can basically, that's how I got those lines, and I use this for the roughness. I also use it as a vector bump map like so. Then you just connect this. Hi from Tajikistan. Yeah, I've heard of that. How is that? How is it there? Is it a great environment for 3D artists? Are there many 3D artists? Are jobs there? How are you finding Tajikistan? I like to travel, and maybe hopefully one day I could be able to get there. Yeah, I've been working on Halloween render myself. Nice. You could share that in the Discord server, and if you don't know, you can just use the exclamation mark Discord, or the command exclamation mark Discord to see the Discord there. No, not what, John Jack. You mean that there are not a lot of 3D artists there? If there is not, maybe that's an advantage for you. You can get all the jobs that you want. Yeah, so I use this as the bump map. Let me just wait for this shader to compile. You can see how we get those nice bumps. I don't want the noise to be too harsh. Let me make this a bit orange so that you can see the details like that. You know what? I think this is actually a more realistic than this, but this is more stylish. Not sure which one I should prefer, but you can even make this more if you add a convert color ramp again here and play with the colors yet again this time around, so that we have some variation like that. Nice, thank you. You know the concept of the artist Jama Jurabev, who makes his concepts in Blender. He is also at Tajikistan. I don't think I've checked out his work, but I think I will try and see. Can make this same orange like that, and you can basically see. I'll get the details. If you don't want to be too noisy like that, you can also add a convert color ramp like that. By the way, if you don't mind me asking, how could I create some sort of ripples of an object coming out of water? Fluid seems to take a lot of time to bake. You can use what is it called? It's called let me first remove the invert. It's called it's called a dynamic paint, and maybe let me show you how to do that in a second. I wanted to cut off some of the noise, but yeah, I think this is also a nice shader for pumpkin. It can also be used as a shader. The Discord command is not working. I think Nightbot is asleep for some reason. Let me get that. Let me get the Discord server for you. That's the link. This. Okay, so yeah, I've shown you the shader. This is the for the For the pumpkin, you can go back and watch part 1 of the stream so that you can see how I did that, but it's also not that difficult. Anyway, so let's continue here and see what else we can do. Now, I like the variation in detail here. So this can just simply use the same material, Ctrl L, link materials, but just a different color. So I'm just going to make sure that this is set to a greenish, dark green color like that. I also need to make sure that this is UV unwrapped. We can also just make sure that this is the same object, control object data like that. And basically we get the same. I joined. Thanks. Glad to see to hear that. How did you get the shape of the pumpkin? The shape of the pumpkin is very simple. Again, let me try to. You just start with a sphere like this. We did this yesterday, but let me just take you through it one more time. Let me just go back to you add a sphere. Add a sphere. Let me just make sure it's in the center here. Add a sphere. You want to use maybe around 16 vertices because you can add the subdivision surface later if you want. Let me reduce the sound here, the music a bit. Okay, so after you do this, all you have to do is just grab an edge, random edges, like not random, but edges like this, this as well, this. Just keep one edge at a time, and then use Alt S to push this inside like that, and you'll get something like this. Maybe that's too much. You push it somewhere like that. If you add a subdivision surface, I see we get something that looks like that. We can also use Ctrl B to bevel these like this. Maybe add a subdivision surface to make the inside seam a bit stronger like that. Then we are left with this portion here. So now what we can do is, because we want to make them a bit rounded like this, what we can do is just first, since this uses symmetry or has some nice symmetry, we can take advantage of that and just erase or get rid of half or a quarter, 3/4 of the pumpkin like that, and I just use a mirror modifier to mirror the other parts like that. Now then what you have to do is just come in here and add a loop like that. If I turn on subdivision surfaces, make sure this is above, I can just push this out like that. Or because you see, when you push it out too much, it starts to kind of create a boxy shape. Since you have the 3D cursor, or put your 3D cursor in the middle and just use change the pivot point to a 3D cursor. I'm using the period key to access that pie menu like that, and then just rotate this until you get the shape to look like that. Then you add a loop around here. You can even grab it, slide it to the edge. Use Alt S. Actually, we don't need to do that. We just need to make sure that you just rotate, add a loop around there, and then rotate, add a loop around there, and then actually surround there, and then rotate like that. And maybe scale this in a bit, and just turn on proportional editing. Just start working with. So this is the shape we're getting, but the shape is going to be influenced with the kind of the type of follow-up you use here. So just try linear inverse, and you can see you can also get that type of pumpkin. I saw the modeling technique and made a capsi jams and apples using the same method. That was really nice. You mean this method? Nice. Then we can just use the same material as we have just created for this pumpkin. I think the Nemo is a bit too harsh, but so something like that. Maybe even the orange. So with the orange a bit, and we have some nice pumpkins like that. This piece here can just be duplicated from here and thrown on there as well. Maybe scaled down a bit. Now we have 4 pumpkins. Now let me show you how we made this face shape. That was very easy. I just traced out the shape of the face directly here by using a curve object. Again, you can see all these steps in a much slower pace from the previous live stream. You can go to the link, the first link in the chat to see how it did. So you just trace these using curves until you let me just make sure that I'm using pivot point. So just trace the face like that until you end up with a face like this. Then you need to make sure that you are using a 2D instead of 3D curve, and have fill mode turned to both, so you get a shape like that. And then you can also use the extrude option and the geometry of the curve, so extrude like that, so that we get some thickness. Let me turn on wireframe so that you can see what we're having. So the problem with this is that we have a lot of resolution, so if we try to use booleans, then we are going to have a lot of mess that we'll need to fix later. So I'm going to duplicate this as a backup, and I come back to this. I go to the resolution and reduce it at something more manageable like this, maybe a 3 like that, or maybe a 2 is enough, and use it here. So the issue here is that curves cannot be used to do boolean cuts. So what we can do then is just go first convert this into a curve, into a mesh. Right click, convert into a mesh like that, and then just grab this piece, then add a boolean and select this as the boolean. And if I hide this now, you see what we have. Another thing you will notice is that we're not seeing the inside parts like in this option, in this example. The reason for that is that the boolean is cutting through the mesh, but there is no, the mesh doesn't have thickness to it, so that's why you see it's not really giving us the inside part. So to do that, we can add a solidify modifier above the boolean, and that should make sure that we can see the inside, and maybe even increase the thickness like that. Then another option we have, we want to make sure that the material of the pumpkin on the inside is a bit different from the front, from the cover material. And for that, all we have to do is just duplicate this material and change the colors a bit. We already done that in the previous live stream. So all you have to do is just make sure that you assign it to another slot, and then in the modifiers, in the solidify modifier under materials, you can select the rim to have a different material and the offset to have a different material. I'm not sure why the rim option doesn't change. I think that's a bug, but it should be able to change the materials as well. Hello, Bunny Bright. How are you? How is everything? Glad to see you. So yeah, this is where we are. How we can leave the others non-cut. And the great thing about this, because we are using a boolean, we can undo this, and we still have our boolean. And I can go to the display, change this to wireframe, and so that I can see through the boolean, and I can scale this up to make this a more menacing smile like that. Like that. Same with this this piece here. Just make sure that it is. And I'm also going to grab the booleans and this, parent them to the main pumpkin, so that when I move the pumpkin, I'm also moving the boolean like that. I'm also going to grab all the booleans we have them in the bools, add them in the bools collection, which I will hide using the outliner like so. Then we can go back to the reference image here. Now, what else? We can make some of these smaller. This has to be connected, maybe something like that, and rotate the beats. Let's start making this look good. Yeah, so another thing, maybe I can duplicate, duplicate this. It doesn't have a boolean. Yeah, let's try creating the hat here. So the hat should be very simple. We can select our mesh here, give it, I don't need the boolean right now, give it a collision modifier, so a collision, and not a cloth, but a collision modifier like that. And then the collision can be above, actually it should be above the everything else, so that we don't have a lot of computation to do, so that we only take consideration of the mesh be so that the collision modifier is only taking into consideration the original mesh without the solidify, and the booleans, it will make the calculation a bit faster. Just save this again. Okay. So then the next thing is the heart. I was forgetting. For the heart, we can start simple. We can start with a cylinder like this, sorry, a curve or a circle with maybe 16 vertices. I'm not sure what that error is. Maybe it's a bug. But anyways, we can start with about 16 vertices. Hit F, insert, up to maybe something like that. And I just use Control, click, maybe scale this down, Control, click, scale it down, Control, click. That seems a bit taller or more than I expected, so something like that. And maybe grab this edge, grab it up, and let me see, Control, click one more time, and then just scale that in, and maybe scale this in as well, add a few subdivisions, and add subdivisions there as well, add subdivisions there, add subdivisions there, and there as well. And okay, so I think the shape here has to be a bit more tapered, so just turn on proportional editing, make sure I have connected, turned on, and just scale it down a bit. Maybe it's too long. It doesn't matter. What we can do, since this is a collision object, we can set this to be a cloth object. Go back to frame 1 and hit Alt play. Another thing we could do to make this a bit faster is just grab this, first turn off the booleans for a second, so that the this is much faster. And maybe I like to work with materials turned on, so I can just go to this and go to my texture folder add-on. So edit preferences, texture, and to get the add-on. I'm not sure why Nightbot is not working. Let me see why that is the case. Nightbot added that. Maybe I'm not logged in or something, but I don't think that should matter. So I want to use my texture folder add-on here. I'm logged in, but for some reason Nightbot is not working. I want to show you, if you want to get the texture folder add-ons, that's the link. Hopefully Nightbot can paste it in. Anyway, so I want to create the material. I'm going to go to my let's see, fabric. I want to go to my PBRs. I think I have a fabrics folder, link that in. This is PBR. Yeah, Nightbot is working. That's the link for the texture add-on if you want to get that. I want this, create a PBR, and that should set up the PBRs, the PBR for our mesh. The UVs, I haven't set up any UVs, so I'm going to use object mapping for this, so that the cloth, we have something like that. Object mapping with a cloth simulation doesn't really render very well, so maybe let's just use UV and just unwrap this, like maybe add a seam that goes up to there, and maybe add a seam like that, unwrap, and that should give us something that looks like that. Scale the this to something like that, and then I can just add a color mix RGB here, just to make this give this a different, maybe a darker color. Yeah, like that. So hit play, we get something like that. If you want more resolution out of this, you need to use the, what is it called, the multi-resolution modifier. Subdivide, bring this up above the cloth, and then play back, and we will get more folds like that. So one thing we could do is go to the cloth modifier here and just make sure that we have internal springs turned on. This will try to maintain the shape of the shape of, let me apply this girl, the shape of the heart a bit more, and So let's see. And I want the shape to be mostly maintained at the end, at the bottom here. So maybe something like that. So let me set up a vertex group for that. So I want this to be a bit thicker, a bit more rigid. So let's set up a vertex group for that. So it's more rigid on that side. I'm not seeing a lot of difference here. Maybe also, let's see what else, what changes can we make here. Starting to look good, but I want this to be a bit more. Maybe we could even use, let me first make this a bit wider. We can increase the strength. Let's try 10. It's not really affect, doesn't seem to affect the shape just a bit. Let me try reducing the mass. Let's try 0.05. Yeah, I think that's more rigid, but now the simulation is a bit unstable because this is too small. What we can do is select a different preset. Let's try denim cloth brush. Yeah, cloth brush is great, but it will not give us the same wrinkles as this would give us. Another thing I could do is go to the multi-resolution. First, instead of using the subdivision, let's try linear subdivision instead of. Yeah, we're getting better wrinkles in here. That's I think another thing we could do is make sure that this is not too tilted like this. Let me turn on proportional editing and just make sure that this is not too angled like that. Maybe just grow the selection a bit, so something like that. And let's first try to remove that's the thing about simulations. You have to do a lot of experimenting or iterations to get things to look good. So without the internal spring, that's what we get. So I think we need to invert this vertex group. So let me first select it, remove, and then invert, assign to have something like that, so that the bottom is much more rigid than. Let me need to go back to the cloth, maybe just reduce on the and I think this is a bit too high, and maybe this also is a bit. Let me first delete that. Seems a bit too large, and maybe let's reduce on the subdivisions because we don't really need that much. The scale, actually I think the inside ring is a bit larger, so this can be a bit like that. Yeah, I think the rest we can just use I've applied the cloth. We can just use the cloth brush, and see how that will handle this. But since this is covered, we don't really need it. We can just maybe start to move things around and go to the sculpt mode and use the let's try the cloth modifier and see if it will give us any good results. Let's go to this brush settings and let's see. We're using drag. Let's try push. don't seem to see a lot of movement. Anyway, this doesn't have to be too difficult, and it doesn't have to be that detailed. So I'm just going to grab up this, just I make the heart like that. You can choose to be as detailed as you want, maybe even spend more time than I'm going to do on this. The subdivisions, other subdivisions on there, and give it a slight rotation as well. And make sure that I have ambient occlusion on, and in areas where this is starting to show, it's going through, we can just go back to the sculpt mode and just make sure that we are on the draw. Just draw this, grab this. Yes, you can even sculpt in some of the wrinkles if you want. Again, you can choose to spend more time on this. Just I even use the multi-layer just to add in to make those seams or creases more pronounced. I think I should have used a multi-resolution here. It's simple, just to get in some extra detail like that, and make those creases look more, or those wrinkles more pronounced. Hello, Muguya Films. Hello, mate. How's your work? How's your work? Is awesome. Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, so here we are. I'll just need to make sure that this is not going through. Then another thing we could do is make sure that we have, what is it called? Or you can add a solidify modifier to this. So solidify modifier, just to give it some bit of thickness, which I'm not. Oh, we are in sculpt mode, so we need to go back to this just to be able to see this around that. And yeah, good morning from Spain. How is Spain? How's it there? Is it sunny like here? You can call me Fernando. It's my name. Nice. The other one was a bit difficult to pronounce because it has some weird letters. I don't know. I love your advice. Thank you, Javier. Andre. Okay, this is still coming out, so let me just push it out like that. Then we can use a subdivision surface if you want. And we have that. We can bring back now the booleans and look at this guy. Okay, let's set up some basic lighting for this. I'm just going to make sure that they're all levered like that. And yeah, how to understand the nodes of mathematics. I think Bad Normals has a good video on explaining the math nodes, so maybe you want to check him out. Okay. What else? We can start lighting this, and let me just first add a flow or ground level here. Scale this on the x-axis like that, and let's go to the lighting. And already this, I think, looks good. I like that. I'm also just going to grab another light here just duplicate it. Make sure that we have bloom like that. Another thing we could do, we could try is use a translucent material. So let's see if this would work. So shader, and also make sure that this has some bit of subsurface as well. So I'm just going to connect. Make sure that this has some bit of subsurface to it, so that light can can go through it a little bit. Maybe that's too much. Yes, supposed to be around there. And we can load in. I'm going to go to my skies and see if I can load in an HDRI. Skies, let me see what HDRI could work here. Maybe something like this. Use as HDRI. I just play with the strength. Maybe 0.05 or 0.001, like that. Translucency in Eevee is quite strange. Weird, strange results. Has some strange results. Let's see if this would be the same case here. I'll get this material and see if I add a translucent shader translucent. I wanted to use this same and just blend the two materials. Okay, it's taking its time to blend this, but we shall see. Blender is really, so that's how it looks. Maybe not too bad. We can just maybe make it not too much. So just a tiny bit of it, not too much. Yeah, it was just compiling the shaders, which can be a bit. Let me make sure this is also using auto smooth, and the angle can be 50, like that. What else can we add? The skull. Let's go to, again, you can download this skull from let me see, yeah, this from free. Let me first extract it from free 3D models.com. Extract files. Want to just go under file, import, I think it was an OBJ format, and download, I think it should be a compressed skull. Yeah. And here is our skull. It's a bit too large. That's okay. Just have to scale it down. And the great thing is that it comes with all the materials and everything else. So that is amazing. Just grab it. Have it somewhere there. Just something like that. Let's see how this looks in cycles. Just set up my camera. Make sure I'm using GPU, denoising is on. I think things are starting to look good. Let me make sure that I'm starting at around 10 for the samples. And if I go to my asset library, I can start set dressing this with other assets. Like this, I can go to this enabled Blender kit instead of the asset library. Okay, so I want some candles. I think I should implement a search feature for this. Actually, this piece can also work somewhere, maybe in the background. How do you get focused at the best? By listening to music and working, or by talking to us and talking about what you are currently doing? I hope this question makes sense. Yeah, it does make sense. I think I usually concentrate more when I'm talking to you guys, because I want the stream to be interactive, and yeah, can achieve that by being talking to you more, I think. So right now it's just about set dressing. I think these pieces here are going to be great for that. And maybe let me first hide this light and just let's see. Roof. Rail. No. Let me go to my decos here. I have a few candles we could use as the source of light. You make this somewhere there, add a point light like that. I can grab something else. I'll have some melted candles as well. Different designs, different shapes. This is the beauty of having an asset library like this, because you can basically set up a scene without doing too much. You can hide this light for a second to see how things are looking. And let me change this. Something like that. And I'm just going to utilize some assets I'm using here. So I have this tank. So we can assume that these are placed on these tanks, oil tanks, like that. I think it would make everything look more interesting. Assets are pretty cool, but personally I hope I can get to see you modeling again soon. Well, I'll do some bit of modeling like how we modeled this. Most people don't want to watch modeling because it takes too long. Most people just want to watch a complete scene. Let's see. Okay, speaking of modeling, maybe let's make this lamp here, because it's fairly simple. It's fairly simple, but let me first make sure that I will go back to Eevee. Maybe let me first remove this and grab this piece here, and it's going to be reused as our surface. So yes, make sure that ambient occlusion is turned on, and maybe set to 1 meter so that it's more pronounced. Just grab this, have it somewhere there. Now you can see how things look. I think the worst part of using photogrammetry is that the albedo texture or the diffuse texture is burnt on certain conditions of light. It can help us sometimes, not always. Not really. Most photogrammetry text objects I've seen can fit in any scene without even doing a lot of adjustments. I don't think this is photogrammetry for this cow. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe, I don't know. Wait, let's make which lamp? This one here. This should be very simple. We can start with a simple circle. We can use, I don't want too much resolution. You can use about maybe 24. Render the animation where the flames are coming. When the flames are coming from the skull. We could try that, but first let's get this. Okay, let's make the lamp very quick. I'm just going to extrude this on the X. Hit F, Ctrl B to bevel it. That will give me a round corner like that. And if I look closely, there is some edge detail around here. So let me scale that as well. Scale that, Ctrl B to bevel that, and just add a small detail like that and push it out like that. Maybe add another loop there and another loop around there. Then here we can hit F, extrude down, and then another edge loop there, and then another edge loop there, and just scale this at have that. And I think here we just extrude on the Z, Ctrl B like that, and this could be a separate object for now. Just move it up a bit. I'd delete this bottom face for now. Edge loop, extrude down, so we have something like that. And I think we can extend this edge up like that, this edge up like that, and maybe even just add a loop around there. Grab these faces, scale them inside a bit just to add in some extra detail like that. Like that. And then we have another piece here that we can extrude and round off really smooth like that. Ctrl L, Shift, and just first delete the bottom part. And this here, we can just grab this edge loop, maybe from here to about here. Ctrl B to round it off to something like there. Just select this, and we have where the I'm forgetting how this is called, the wick would be connected, and yeah, we can dissolve that vertex like that. We don't need to be too detailed with this. Then for this shape here, that there are several ways we can do it. Just going to go with I think it starts around here. Just extrude, scale up, extrude, hit F, and then round it off just a bit. Actually, before we do that, we can give it a small bulge, round it off like that. I can also make this a separate object like that, and maybe round off that part as well. Just insert, extrude, and then grab these edges, round them off using Ctrl B like that. Did Mac render faster than Windows? Or are you asking whether Mac render? I think Windows is going to usually renders faster than Mac, because there are a lot of usually have dedicated graphics card than Mac systems. I'm not sure. I'm not very familiar with Mac systems. I rarely use Mac because it's a bit limited when it comes to options. Origin to geometry. Let's scale this. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be around that size, and it sits on a plate. So I'm just going to grab this, hit F and then P to separate the plate that it sits on. Just grab this, extrude up, delete the face. Love you, love from India. Love you too, man. Love you. Just have this up to there. Round off these corners. Ctrl B, just like that. Shade smooth, just like that. Grab this face. Hit I, and then I think you should go up a bit. Then delete the face. Grab this edge loop. Round it off like that, and we are there. I think this has to be a bit wider. Scale on the X, and maybe something like that, and maybe add an edge loop here. Turn on proportional editing and scale this. I can use this. Yeah, something like that. Maybe scale it up, and that means also we need to rescale this so they can fit. I'm so beginner in Blender, all 3D related. Just letting you know. I see. Lighting, where we are using something, sometimes it spoils the magic of reality. The lighting. Love to India from Mexico. Yeah, share that love, man. Share that love. Okay, so here we are. We can, let's see, what else can we do here? We can create this top part. So for that, we can just start with this edge ring, shift, separate that loop, then just extrude, hit F, insert, extrude, Z, insert, and I think I can push this up just a tiny bit and then up like that, and then just round off these corners a bit at something like that, shade smooth, and I'll get something like that. Then from there, can grab this edge loop again, scale it up a bit, bring it down, maybe even up a bit, and turn on proportional, just extrude up a bit, hit F, insert, bring up somewhere like there, then up again, and then just repeat this. Oh, is it like this? No, I think it's supposed to be. And just bring this and set it a bit, push it up, extrude up, insert, push up just a bit, insert. And now what is left is just to simply round off these edges, use a bevel like that, shade smooth, and our lamp is nearly done. What is left is this part here. So for that, I'm just going to grab this edge loop, push it down, extrude up, maybe even scale it on the X-plane like that. Let me first hide this for a second because what I want to do is add a loop here, Ctrl B to bevel that, and I can use, let me make sure that this is a separate object. Let me reset the origin to geometry. What I want to do is just grab all the vertices on this side, remove them, grab all the vertices on this side, remove them, and then we can add a mirror on the X like that. And what I want to do is let me just push this up a bit, this piece here. What I want is first grab this, can insert it just a bit, delete the faces, and maybe slide these in, like that, and then just round off these corners until we have something that looks a bit rounded, like that. Shade smooth, and we can come in and just get rid of these vertices. Again, you can choose to be as detailed as you want. Maybe you can make this into an actual edge loop. I can even hit F, extrude in to push that in like that, and delete that face and just round off this corner. And I think I need to first make sure that this is well rounded like that. And I'm just going to grab this edge loop, Ctrl B, and round it off like that. And we might need an edge loop here, an edge loop here, so that we can connect this to that, this to that, and that means we don't need this here. We can just connect this directly like that, get rid of that, get rid of that, connect this directly, and this directly, and maybe this. Basically repeat the same steps this side if you want to improve on the edge flow like that. So this can be continuously connected. Same with this. This can be connected, and like that. And here I think if we add a loop here, let me first isolate this for a second. There may be a loop up and a loop down here. I can just insert this edge loop, and I think this piece has to be fully connected. Just like that, and just extrude like that, and can grab this piece, push it up like that, have the same thing down like this, and you essentially have some nice detail. This would be repeated here. That's I'm okay with just having it in one area, and I don't know, maybe think this part might be pushed out just a bit, so just going to grab the entire piece, push it out, just add a loop there and a loop there. Then the top part, we just need to grab an edge loop like this, scale it up, extrude up, hit F, insert, push that up like that, round off. Damn, dude, it looks so easy when you do it. I think I really need to get at practice in a theory. Yeah, it's just mostly about practicing. If you can practice enough, you will get there faster than you think, or faster than you can imagine. Another thing we can do is I think since this is using symmetry, I can also just separate this. I'm just going to grab this edge loop or this vertex and this. Just introduce some symmetry, or just because what I want to do, okay, can grab this part, delete this part, delete, because what I want to do is to just come in here. I think there is a loop around here as well. Just grab this, connect this like that, subdivide that, connect the two. Let me see how this looks. Subdivide, connect this like that. Just have a rounded corner like that. Of course, you can make this more rounded, but if you use a subdivision surface, it should make it simpler. Add a mirror, and you have something like that. And I think we might need a small detail up here, like that. Now for the handles, all we need is a plane like this. Just position the handles like that. This goes around here, and this up here, and this here. Just delete this edge, and then we can start running off these corners, maybe something like that, and then Ctrl Shift B, round off. Actually, this might need to be closer, so we have something like that, and that would be our handle, except this is going too fast, so I think it's supposed to be around here and then connect like that, so we can round off this corner somewhere like that. Then you can convert this into a curve, convert to curve. Then you can add a circle like this. This is going to act as our bevel, so I'm just going to select this. It's going to be our bevel profile, and scale it in to have like something like this. And make sure that I shade smooth. So then I can come to this and start detailing, creating the same detail that we have here. So I'm going to change this into a vector, the handle types to aligned, and what I want to do is subdivide this a few times like that, and I think if I select these, make them wider, we get a shape like that. I think I would also need the same shape, but maybe subdivide this even further so that we can make a tighter shape like this. And yeah, we get that. This also tapers a bit. I think it's not the same length or the same width, so I can turn on proportional editing, use Alt S just so that the top is much smaller than the bottom. Then maybe the bottom is wider. No, actually, this needs to extend in quite long like that. Then we need to reduce the segments. If I turn on wireframe, you can see how much segments we have here. So I'm going to go to this and reduce the number of segments to something more manageable, maybe something like 2. All right, select this and then convert it to a mesh like that, shade smooth, and then turn off that. So we have something like that. Can even also just grab these edges and turn them in max sharp. Can also turn on auto smooth for this at the angle has to be a bit higher, maybe 60. Maybe 60, and just grab this edge, round it off just a bit so that it's not too, yeah. If you use subdivisions, you get a more fit, but I don't want to use subdivisions because I want to maintain this as a low poly object. Now this is intersecting, which is not a problem. We can just use a Boolean modifier, select this as the object, to cut it off like that, apply the Boolean, and we should have something like this. Then we can select, let me first isolate this object. I can grab this entire piece, hit extrude, or we can just add a loop. Just make sure that this is subdivided correctly. Subdivide this so we have a loop like this. Let me just slide it closer to this, and I can grab this edge loop, this entire edge loop as it goes around. Or let me first make sure that this is not like that. Delete faces, unhide, unhide, and hide. This I can grab this edge loop as it goes around at the surface, like that, like that. Yes, try to scale it and make it, actually I think I selected, yeah, something like that. Just make it fit correctly, and then just slide this in place. So we have something like this, maybe even round off this just a bit. So we have that connected, and then we can just mirror this. We can just use mirror this on the X. We might need to do the same thing here. So just grab this edge loop, extrude, and then just select this edge loop, use Alt E to extrude, just push this edge on like this, and we have something like that. One thing I'm noticing is that this piece here, this top piece, is a bit larger than what we have for ours. So let me grab all these pieces and just, okay, this needs to be applied as a mirror, this needs to be applied as a mirror. So I just have to select these, grab all these top, just scale it a bunch. I'll grab this piece, scale it up a bit. Yeah, so maybe this is a bit taller, and this can now be pushed out just a little bit. And we have ourselves a lamp. It still needs a lot of work. Let's let's work on the texturing, and then we can come back. Maybe let's make it complete, because I'm starting to wonder if I should have modeled this, because it's taking more time than I wanted. Anyway, let's add a curve around this surface, and for that, let's just add a curve like this. Turn on auto, make it auto, and just make sure that we are using a bevel for it, like this, and just I think starts around here, goes here, then starts to curve in like this, and then connects. So we need to grab these vertices, push this out, push this out, and this out. So this has to be a bit rounded like that, and this like this, and this like that, and here is this has to be, I think, connected. And this needs a mirror modifier, a mirror on the let me apply the rotation on the Y, and this has to be corrected to be something like that. The thickness, nice bro, thank you. The thickness has to be brought down as well, something like that. And this also, we could Alt D, mirror this on the X. Actually, we need to use Shift D, mirror this on the X, so that these here, one is on top of the other, not intersecting, like that. And this can go in like that. Then we also need another curve here, and just make sure this is also using auto. Just think comes in like this, and Control L, make sure this is separated, and just make sure that I'm mirroring this on the X, and that is using this object as the mirror object, and I just make sure that these are also connected like that. Grab these, and with this, I think we can grab an edge loop here and just select these faces here, extrude them out, and just round them off a bit. And we need to subdivide to drill something like a hole here. So to do that, the easiest way would to be to add a loop like that, a loop like there, a loop there, join the two like that, and do the same thing on this side. Then just select the middle vertex like that. Ctrl Shift B to round off the corner, the edge, or the vertex like that. Hit F, just select each face, round it off. Select this, round it off, and then use the bridge feature like that to connect the two. But this is a bit too thick, so just maybe bring it a bit here. It's a bit too thick at my liking, so just grab this. I think I will need a loop around here and a loop around here, then just so that we can make this much thinner than it is. So I can now grab this piece. I can just grab this and this, and then this like this. Like this. Make sure everything is selected. And just scale it on the Y to make it much thinner, like that, maybe even thinner than that. And then this is supposed to go through that like that. Again, you can be as detailed as you want to be. And then what else? For now, we can stick with this and just start working on some texturing. So for the texturing, I'm just going to go to my, I'm just going to select anything here, go to my texture folder. Let me see if I have some metals that we could use here. I have this copper material. Let me assign that. Yeah, this looks nice. We don't have to do a lot of work. And the great thing about this is I can easily change the color to the blue. Yeah, something like that. So I can grab all these pieces, give them the same material, grab this, give it the same material, now let's go to the glass. So the glass is usually a bit difficult, especially if you are going to preview this in Eevee because of a few issues. But what we can do is let me go to my textures, grunge map, and start with this grunge map. So let me create a PBR material here. And also set the alpha or the transmission to 1. And also maybe the alpha, before we do the alpha, let's go with the transmission. In screen space, turn on screen space reflections and also refractions, and also turn on refractions for this glass. Alpha blend, screen space refractions. And the glass has to be non-opaque, like that. And let me first recalculate normals. If you're seeing this back facing or this kind of clipping effect, you can turn it off by using show back face or removing it. I want this to have a solidify or a thickness like that. And also make sure that back facing is off. And so this is currently what we have of the glass. Now let me make sure that I'm using object mapping for the scratches so that you can easily see where they are. You can see how the glass looks with the scratches, and we can even get more scratches. Maybe this, import as a texture. Again, we can use the same mapping. Make sure we're using box. So maybe blend this a bit better and just blend the two. So we're just blending this in the roughness value, and you can see I think this glass looks good. If you want, you can even use an input Fresnel, or instead of using Fresnel, we can use layer weight, which gives us the same mask. And I'm just going to use the facing value to be our alpha mask, so that the middle of the glass is a bit transparent, like that. And maybe play with the blending mode just a bit, and we have our glass looking like that. Now, if you want, you can add more scratches. So maybe let's try and find more scratches. I'll just import this in as well. Make sure that it's using the same nodes or object mapping. See how that looks. Just blend it with this, and we have glass like that. I think looks nice. Now, since I've spent time working on this, I'm also going to save this material. Let me just see. I'll call this glass and just save it into my asset library. Do a render preview and then save. Now I can use it in a different project if I want to. So here we are. Let's make sure that this is using that material. And for the flame, I'm just going to borrow one flame from a flame from this. Claps, thank you. I'm just going to borrow a flame from this. Just grab this, Control I, invert, and then delete the rest. Just reset the origin. Just okay. Nightbot turns kind of I think I'm going to disable Nightbot because he seems to just time out anyone who says anything in chat, which is, and the point of the live stream is to make the chat a bit interactive, and it seems to be against that for some reason. Yeah, just have this in. You use too much emojis, but even that shouldn't be, because I'm not seeing, you have not used a lot of emojis. For some reason, it's just, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm just going to join this to this. I think I want this to be rotated. that. Now we can add rust to this, we can add a lot of things, but I'm just going to keep things simple and just, yeah, can even add more detail to this, but yeah, I'm choosing not to. We just have this into a lamp collection, and I can always come back to it. And yeah, and I'm also going to save this. Let me make sure that the scale is right. Let me go to my outliner here. Just isolate this for a second, because I want to use this in a different project. So I'll have this in the center like that. Add it to my decos collection. Give it a render, a quick render like that, and I can save this as a lamp. Now it will be easier to use it in a different collection. So then let me isolate this for a second. Then I can just, here I'll just reuse it as an instance. So lamp collection. And let's get back our reference image here. Maybe have this on the side here. Now we can add a point light in here. So something like 100, maybe. Another thing I can do, let me add a sphere here because I want to check the glass material again. I think I can add another mix node here. Let me see. You know what, I'm okay with that. So if we go to cycles, yes. Now if we are in cycles, we don't really need, do we need this light? Yeah, we need it, but I'm just going to reduce the size at something like 0.1, like that. Now, for the most part, things look good. Let me use a 30mm light. Let's see that in cycles. I think, yeah, my messages seem to come in a bit late, I think. Anyway, so let's improve this by playing with the lights and everything. So I'm going to split this view and bring in the outliner. Just select all the lights we have in the scene, Shift G, type M, and move them to a light collection. A lights collection, just to see what each light is contributing to the scene. So we have that. Let's give this a kind of a bluish tint for a night scene. me also make this a bit more reflective. Something like that. Then we can make, and actually I like how this is now reflecting on the surface. You want that warm look now. Grab this. I just dropped my cell phone. I think it's time to sleep. You're watching this on a cell phone? Wow, can you even see anything? Now, let's try something crazy. Like someone suggested, maybe some frames coming out of this. But let's see how we can approach that. So if you wanted to create frames, like fire frames, thank you. You think it looks good? Thank you. Like fire, non-fire simulation, that would take too much to render. I'm thinking of, let me see. If I have a plane rotated like this, maybe something like this. Just extruded, maybe pushed up like that, with a lot of subdivisions, something like that, to act as our frames. Let's create some procedure fire and see. So we can start with a texture, noise texture. No, I'm at my PC, but I was reading messages and it happened. I see. Okay, so yeah, we want some procedural noise, so some procedural fire. So maybe I need to apply the scale of this, and I use object mapping. Now we can use a control, a car ramp. Like that. And now what we can do is add, say, an empty like this, and just use that as use it to control the direction of the fire. We're just going to move this up like that. Just play with the vector. You can see how that is moving. And I think we might have to isolate this for a second. If I suppose, see how this is looking. Okay, so my frame rate is really low. I can't really see much going on. The other thing I can do is animate the Z, not the Z, at the X rotation, or yeah, the Y rotation. Sorry, the Z rotation. So I'm just going to add a keyframe there and animate this. This was awesome live streaming. See you all people in the next one. Thank you for being around. Yes, let me set this to 5. Hey, Joshua Knowles. I'm glad you made it. Now, I think we are going to first isolate, because maybe What is slowing down the scene a bit is the booleans. So let me first disable them for a second. So that the animation is fast enough. I think this has to be something like 100. Maybe because we're trying to animate fire, and I think that's a good start. Now we can turn on some distortion and see what we're having. And I think this has to be a very large figure to get some noise going like that. And I think we can also animate the, let's see. What are you making? We're making this image here. We are making that image. I like how the fire is looking. I think we need to scale this on the Y to make the fire more detailed, and maybe play with some roughness, increase on the detail, maybe the distortion as well. Actually, the distortion has to be very minimum, and at the detail level also minimum. Now, then we can colorize this. Just create a fire gradient. A fire gradient. That is as we can use a shader, emission shader, blended with let me see, an emission with a transparent shader. So this goes into the emission, and this becomes our alpha. What if you use a different fire texture photos, or on a single plane, and animate the texture showing at random points? That I think would be a bit difficult to do. I think I've done that before. It could work, but it also has some issues, I think. Let me see. I want this to use and go to the material of this. Make sure that this is alpha blend none, and these two have to be switched around. So that's how our fire is looking, but it's clipping on different ends, which we don't want. Let me see. And the emission strength has to be quite high, and we can use an input, a texture gradient, like that, and use a gradient mask to avoid clipping. I use a spherical shape like that, and I already see how that is going to affect everything. And now we can just grab, blend the two here, I think we can use color band. I'd have something like that, and now that is the new factor. Hello burning trap there. Oh, the fire looks awesome. Thank you. And another thing we could do is let's make sure that bloom is on. And what the other thing we could do is add a hue and saturation here, and just bump up the value to something like 10. Now I think the distortion is still a bit high. Maybe play with the roughness. And I like those spots there, some random flames. And another thing we could do is okay, let me bring back the entire setup. The animation should be faster to look believable. I see. So to do that, I think I just have to grab this and move a Z property. Let me just double the speed. Oh, I think this is the value we need to animate. So the Z location of this, it's saying it should be doubled. Yeah, something like this. And I think now it's looking much better, especially in this view here. And now we can extrude this. So the gradient here should be using object mapping. So that, yeah, let me just make sure that this is using object mapping. That's also going to change how the fire looks. Just scale it down and maybe scale it on the X. Play with the color banding factor, and I think the fire looks great now. I think it looks great. Can even make it look a different color. And the great thing is that now we can just grab this try a detailed level of 16. Let me see. Detail level of 16. Do you think it does anything? I don't see much detail being added in, unless if you're very close to the fire. I think we need to play with the values a bit. Another thing we can add is the smoke. So let's try adding the smoke. So I'm just going to duplicate this, have it up like somewhere there, and just make sure that it's using a different material, so I'll call this smoke. Yes, make sure it's assigned to that. And this one is not going to use the emission shader. It's just going to use a translucent instead. So shader translucent to replace the emission. And the color, we don't want the fire to have any color, or the smoke to have any color. And one should be fire, like this. So this is fire, and then the other should be smoke. So this should be the fire, and then we have another layer of smoke, and for that we can make the noise a bit softer and move it above a little bit. We actually need to move this something like that. Scale, reduce on the distortion of the noise. Maybe even scale this a bit. So maybe, yes. And the speed of this is going to be a bit minimum. So the noise needs to be running about a bit slower. Maybe scale the noise down even further. Where is that? Yes. Yes, bring that a bit down. Also can add a convert car ramp here. Offset your frames are not even. Which frames? Have the smoke. And I think that looks like a fire. And the smoke, I think, looks good too. And the great thing about this is that now we can just apply it on any object. You can apply the big fan from India. Thank you, Alex Paul. The great thing about this is that now we can use the smoke in some other areas. If I turn off this, offset the fire. Oh, this fire. The other fire? that means I would have to create a separate material for this, which that's a lot of work. I think that I like the smoke even better, much better than the fire. Let me first separate this. Can even duplicate this. Looks good. Thank you. Let me grab the fire again. Just play with the gradient a bit more. I think the fire looks a bit too saturated. And you know what? I think I'm going to get rid of the translucent in this material, so that we're only seeing this. So I like that we can also see some smoke here, and if I have a light around here, we should be able to see that smoke even better. Yes. Have more clouds of smoke in different areas. And I think I just have this on every pumpkin. Maybe you can have, make sure this is set to wire. Have kind of a greenish light or something like. See, I don't want this to be too reflective. This turn on another light in here. Yes. Have something like that. Now we can bring back the booleans. Can bring back the boolean modifier here. Yes. Do the same for this one. And we'll have something like that. Now Now let's go into cycles and see how this looks. Okay, why is this not? Okay, I need to make sure that this is unpaused. Yes, grab which light? Hide that light. Just go to the color management, play with some exposure here, and gamma. I think for this Eevee might render this a bit better, because I think I like the Eevee look this time around more than cycles, and it's also rendering faster. The only thing I don't like is that we are unable to see the light here, the light from this light. Maybe backlight the behind pumpkins. Are these here? Okay, let's see if we push these back there. Yes. Play with some colors. And let's continue adding in some more stuff here. Let me see, in my decals I have more candles. Maybe where is I thought I added this barrel here. I don't remember removing. Okay, it's there. Okay, seems to have keyframes on it. Let's see what else can we add. I think that's it for this stream. I'll just give this a quick render, and I'll be posting the results on Blender and Beyond, which is my website. So I'll be posting them here, and the same also the screenshots of the materials are like we did the Scour model, where you can download it. And if you want to look at the entirety of this image, you just right click on it, and you can see, you can this actually, I should edit this so that it uses the full resolution image. I wanted to use the full image, full size update, so that if you want to see the material detail, you can easily zoom in and see the details like so. Yeah, I think that's it for this stream. I'll see you in the next okay, I'll see you in the next live stream, and